Hey, welcome to another episode of Create or Die. This is your host, Ike Allred. That's me. In this episode, we do things a little differently. Here we are, episode 8, right? Time to switch things up. Throw a wrench into things, if you will. In the previous 7 episodes, it was me, sharing my thoughts, talking all things creative, as well as interviewing some of my creative friends. But in this episode, like I said, we depart from that a little bit and are trying something different. So this time around, I'm inviting my boy Trevor Williams back on the program. But rather than interviewing him, this time we have an exchange around creative tools. And not just any creative tools, free creative tools. That's right. Today, in this day and age of awesomeness, that sounds like a good shirt right there. In this day and age of awesomeness, there are several good quality free tools, open source, most of them out there, that you can leverage to do professional work. In this episode, we focus a lot on tools that hover around multimedia, for lack of a better term, video production, 3D animation, and tools to support that. But we touch on some others as well. If you like this episode, let us know, and we'll find creative tools in other niches, graphic design. That's all I've got. No, but before we get rolling into what's sure to be an awesome episode, let me just put in a quick plug for the Create or Die store. That's createordie.net. Create with an 8. I'm still waiting on the .com URL to be transferred from the previous owner to me by GoDaddy. It's been a couple weeks. I know some of you are saying, I don't feel comfortable buying merch from a .net type of store. Bear with me. The .com is coming. For those of you who are a little gun shy there. I kid. Nothing wrong with .nets. Even Maxon, makers of Cinema 4D, have a .net. So come on, give me a break. But the reason I bring it up, createordie.net, is Christmas is coming. Hanukkah's a coming. Holidays are here. I know I've missed some there, but holidays in general. And if you've got a creative person on your list, now's the time. Head on over to the store. I've added some great stuff, I think, in the past week. More shirts. And it's not just the Create or Die logo on there. We've got some artwork, some fun sayings like done is better than perfect, which is a mantra that is close to my heart. So shirts, posters, hats, stickers, even a new journal. So check it out. Don't feel obligated to buy anything, of course, but if you do, it certainly helps out this little program. So appreciate it. Alrighty, that's enough. Plugs be gone. Let's move on forward with this episode on free creative tools with my boy, Trevor Williams. And I'll wager there's at least one program/tool here that you haven't heard of on this list. Let's roll. Okay, well, welcome back to the podcast, Trevor.
I know, I'm back, baby.
Yeah.
This is thank you for inviting me once again. I feel very honored and humbled. So thank you.
No, got a lot of good feedback about your episode, and it makes sense to get you on here again, and hopefully many more times as this thing rolls forward.
I'd be fine by me. So
yeah, great. So today we're talking creative tools and maybe what you use, what you want to use, what I use, what I want to use. Maybe start out discussing some free tools and then just get into tools in general, free or not, and maybe some thoughts on what it means to use those tools. Is it
Absolutely.
the tool or is it the artist, right?
Right.
Not to jump ahead. But first one on the list, it's got to be at the top of most people's list, especially if you're into 3D, is Blender 3D.
Yes. I see it as on top of your list. In my list, I had a little bit of some subtitles next to. I was kind of organizing everything a little bit, but not perfectly.
Yeah.
But I wanted to spotlight a few.
Yeah.
And I gave a few an award. And Blender 3D got both a spotlight and an award.
Wow.
Mostly because one thing. And I'll turn it back over to you. The only thing I'm going to say is Blender is one of those beasts of a machine of a software that has it's the a la carte. It's the buffet. It's got everything in one package. You don't necessarily have to leave that tool and use other tools or substitute other tools and jump out and jump in. I like the idea that you can kind of stay in this house and just kind of put on the blinders and just focus without having to be pulled out, go over into another application, do a few things, bring that back in, import it in or whatever. You can do everything in here, from motion tracking to storyboarding to animation, both 3D and 2D with the grease pencil and that it's free is also one of those things that just puts it on top of the award. It's going places. When it started, I thought, all these other robust softwares that have already had some time to develop are really calling my attention. At the time, it was Cinema 4D.
Totally.
But now there were a few people that brought it into my spotlight, and there's so many amazing Blender artists out there, but Ian Hubert definitely has got to be on the list. There's a guy named,
and he's gone quiet for a while, so I assume that means that he got some big gig making his own movies somewhere.
Yeah, because he's so mind-blowing good at the thing. And then you've got a French artist whose name's like, I probably mispronounce it, but Deduce or something like that. Incredible work what he does. There's all these other people. Southern Shoddy is one I follow, but there's endless people I can name as far as how to get started. If you spend,
and I'm with you. Like originally Blender came out and it was, if you wanted to be honest and you didn't want to get a ripped version of a paid program on some Whereas site and infect the family computer, then Blender was the safe way to go. But then it never seemed like you could get anything decent rendered out of the thing. It was like, none of the third-party renderers supported it. Its internal render was crap, but at least you were learning some of the basics of 3D modeling and animation. But man, the past few years since 2.8, grease pencil, just still there's nothing like it, right? I mean,
I'm sure the other 3D softwares out there are creaming their pants in fear of the rise of Blender, because it's just so it's so strong. It made my jaw drop when I saw its capabilities, how it transformed over the years. And when I realized, oh, you can do that in that tool and it's free. And sure, there's a bit of a learning curve and it's a bit different from some of the other traditional tools I started out with, but it's not that hard. I was going to say, if you spend, just give it, a weekend, camp out with that software, and before you know it, you know so much more and you're like more confident to just get in and go. And if you spend at minimum 100 hours, you're ready to just, you don't have to go back to anything else. From that point, it can be your 3D software of choice. But I won't go that far. I mean, I still love Cinema 4D and I still love some of these other tools, but mostly because of some of their dynamics and these things. But that's not to say that Blender isn't going to catch up. I mean,
No.
insane what it can do. And yes, you do pay for some plugins. There's plenty free, but there's Blender Market, and they're not terribly expensive. And if it's a tool that is going to really be something that you constantly are using in your work, it's going to pay for itself tenfold. And it's
totally. Yeah. So let's maybe we just make this the Blender episode. We could go on and on.
Yeah, no.
Okay. What other free software do you want to call out, Trevor?
Okay, so I'm not trying to be biased towards animation at all,
but that's your thing. It's okay.
That's my thing. Calvary app is an amazing free for 2D animation. Calvary app came out and it's been going through some updates and some things. And when it first came out and I caught wind of it, I immediately jumped on it. It's hard to learn at first. I think for most, if you're starting out in After Effects or you do something else, it's not so learner friendly at first. There are some ticks and bells, and similar to like Blender. If you sit down, you actually realize, oh, this thing it is sophisticated. And once you figure it out,
a desktop app, and it's a competitor, or it's a comparable to After Effects.
Yes, and it is free. And I mean, what's great about it is most everything in it is procedural. It has dynamics itself, a very strong dynamic engine. It also takes complex data and makes it simple. So you can actually do a little bit of a paid service with it to bring in basically like Google Docs and spreadsheets and data from like Lottie and all these other mobile devices or whatever. And you can take that data and create these complex animations pretty simple and easily with the way you can import this stuff and its tools and its dynamics.
Is it Windows and Mac? Do you know, or Windows only?
Yes, no, it's Windows and Mac. Yeah, and it got my spotlight as well, just because the spotlight in the sense that this is free.
Yeah,
it has some paid features. If you choose to go that route, you don't have to. In fact, there's no need to. But the way it does text and procedural and dynamics, most of the time there's been these people in the past that have always wanted some kind of dynamic engine in a 2D software. And After Effects had a great plugin called Newton, third-party plugin that does these dynamics. And it's fun. I have Newton, and it is amazing to play with. But there's a big price cap on that. Whereas this is free, does these dynamics in a sense similar to like how Newton can do. You could achieve the same, and plus so much more. And what it can do with text and all these other, it's getting so many updates. It's coming out with new features.
So well supported. That's awesome.
Yeah, constantly well supported. It's going to take a lot of great things by storm. And the greatest part is if you are going to be, I would say, if you end up doing more animations that would, and creativity that is evolving around mobile and data and perhaps social media stories and things like that, this tool is, I would say, paramount for some of that. And maybe some people are screaming at me like, no. Motion graphics you can do and upload and plug into web and mobile and is beyond comparison in my opinion. So.
Cool. Well, that's a good one. That's one I had not heard of. So there's probably others out there that haven't heard of it as well. So moving on, another one that I think both you and I agree is an amazing free tool is Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
Version 5 is out, and that's added so much craziness. We're both noobs in it. Barely know our way around, and I'm talking for myself as well here. But from what I know about it, It's real-time rendering beast. They've got animation. They've even added built-in modeling tools. So similar to Blender, you don't have to jump out and use other. And then obviously it started as a game engine. So apparently you can still build games in the thing.
Right. And I have no idea how to do like 70% of all of that.
Yeah.
But they use Unreal in some of the even in production, right? With like the Mandalorian. Or and filmmaking, and the way they are using Unreal is a game changer, I think, for and so innovative for the future of this creativity.
Netflix just over the summer released a cartoon that was produced entirely in Unreal Engine. It's like My Giant Robot Brothers or something. I probably butchered the title, but it's totally built in there. And one of the things that makes it so nice for animation production is, works with tracking, with camera tracking. There's great tutorials online that you can turn your iPad into a virtual camera and walk around a set, and it just picks that up right in the software. And you can have people acting out the animated characters, and
it's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Some of the knowledge and even conceptualization behind this, it blows my mind how people thought these tools up.
Yeah. Okay, give me another one. What's another free tool?
So moving on, I mean, we kind of jumped into this a little bit fast, and I kind of want to come back a little bit on two things. One is reference, a good reference. Having a good reference, you got to start with reference sometimes, or collection of some items. And
isn't that cheating?
No, absolutely not. And so, and we'll get into this with AI too down the road. There's some AI I want to talk about, but VizRef and PureRef are two tools. VizRef I have on the iPad. If I recall, I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember if it's free or not. It may be like, if anything, it's under $10 or less. But it's probably, if I recall, free. But VizRef, pretty simple. Infinite canvas, you can import your images in and drag and drop, even just from like if you know how to create multiple windows on your iPad or other things, you can have like maybe you're inside Pinterest, or images on Google or something. You can just drag and release it inside VizRef, and it just pops into.
Really? Wow.
And then it has its own gallery, so you can basically do it by project. So maybe you have a project that's specific you're working on, or maybe you want to keep you can categorize everything to, maybe it's animals, and even subcategorize to just horses or something. And so it's like all your horse references, you've got your your folders and your different art boards for that, and then you can pop in and zoom in anywhere. It's infinite canvas. It's amazing. Love VizRef. I have it on my iPad for that reason.
PureRef on the desktop, right? And you mentioned it before we hopped on the call, but one of the best features of that is, you want to say it again, or
no? Okay. You got Pure.
I'll take it. Is that it can float above other windows. So sometimes you're working in an application and you're like, oh no, it hides that reference I was looking at, and you're toggling back and forth with Command Tab or whatever, or you have to make your screen size split across your monitor,
or have dual monitor. This allows you, so if you do go laptop only out on some adventure, you don't have to have dual screens. Or
you're working in Blender, you've got your 3D window, you can have it hovering over there in the top corner, and so plenty of room on a laptop, like you said, to model away or sculpt away or whatever.
So essential. I think it's very essential.
No,
with that, I do have one thing that's also within the realm of reference. And it's a free app. I grab it. I I love it. It's called Record It. You can get it mobile, and Record It with an exclamation point. It's just a free screen recording grab tool. Now, why do I do this? Well, I'll tell you why. Sometimes I've needed to use, I get into an application and instead of hand animating everything, I can walk through the application myself and have it screen recorded, and then I can just use that as a time remapped piece of footage and asset that I can bring in and put on and have on a device that I'm doing motion graphics.
Yeah, so for like UI type of stuff.
Yeah, for UI animations, perfect. Yes, but even better, if you're an aspiring animator or creator of any kind, you can use it. It captures, it's too good to get for things where I'll get in, start my recording, jump over, say, to YouTube, where I have a reference that I've pulled from YouTube. There's also plenty of places under there that have endless references. One of the great places if you want to get like a walk cycle or something like that. Or more importantly, other effects like smoke, the hard ones like water, smoke, explosions. If you're looking to see how a ripple really goes, you can get this stuff, say, from YouTube.
Yeah.
Screen record it real quick, and not to be like plagiarizing or stealing.
Yeah.
You can further manipulate it, not with this app, but what you can do is you can trim down your recording. Maybe you record 8 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever you want. Then you can bring that, upload, put it, manipulate it, further distort it, warp it, however you want to do, and then use that to use as a reference for good timing, spacing, illustration, for not so much for tracing, but even Max Fleischer.
Yeah.
Fleischer. Yeah, Max Fleischer, one of the great animators from the past. He invented the rotoscope.
Yeah.
In the 1970s, and this was basically this kind of the same thing. He patented that, and
cool.
Basically taking, I take some video reference of something, manipulate it, distort it, characterize over top of it, however, to help with a few tricky situations. So it's definitely one of my top tools for reference. Record It, both for just getting fast UI that I have to animate, and or if I'm doing some actual animation, both with characters that I've either rigged or I'm doing hand cell drawn animation, It's essential.
Okay, I'm officially inviting you right now to create a tutorial that shows your process and put it up on the brand new Create or Die YouTube channel. And so
doing that specific,
that process of using
to record it, and okay,
I think that'll be super valuable. So audience, tens of people that listen to this, you got to hold Trevor accountable, make sure he does it. no thanks for throwing that out. Let's throw out a couple other free tools to use. Vectornator, that's one that I was surprised recently to find out was free. It seems like I tried it several years ago when it first came out and thought, oh, this is great for vectors on the iPad, but then recently came back to it and found out that not only is it free on the iPad, but it's free on the desktop as well, at least on Mac,
which would essentially get a spotlight, in my opinion, or like an award. But I can champion Vectornator. I started out in that, loved it. If you do have an Adobe software, Adobe Suite, there's also the Illustrator app, which is great because then you can use the cloud to maybe you go. And the reason I say that is I don't know why Adobe of all, on the desktop, of all the applications for if you're trying to create and sketch and create illustrations of any kind, why they don't allow Illustrator artboard to rotate.
They do now.
I checked it earlier. How did they?
They do.
Okay, well, earlier it was very
Yeah.
difficult and it was always a frustration. That's why I was really glad.
Yeah.
On these apps on the iPad, you can definitely rotate your canvas and draw and do your thing, especially with the different brushes you can create and be a great illustrator with actual vector tools versus just bitmap stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you mentioning that, and I agreed with that failing of Illustrator. And then it was a couple of versions ago,
as they started
they
to,
released it, and I swear I slacked you and told you about it.
yeah.
Maybe you were in the middle of moving to England or
I
something
still
and
I
missed
still rotate. I even tried to like rotate the canvas. I don't know what I was looking at it to verify, but I must be
You're still on a version from a year ago.
handicapped. Yeah, there we go.
Cool. Um, yeah, this is awesome. This is a great episode, and let's just keep going here.
Yeah.
You got another one you want to call out? Free
Well,
app? If not,
yeah.
let me throw out a couple other free apps if you don't have any more free ones.
No, I definitely have free ones, but go ahead. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. Figma, which,
Mhm.
getting away, it's more focused on UI design and prototyping. Uh, there's some awesome TikTok uh, contributors who've shown how you can do animation within there too. So it actually does some animation,
Wow.
especially design for your prototypes. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's one that is paid if you want to collaborate with others on multiple projects, but you can actually sign up for it completely free, use all of the capabilities and collaborate on one project for free. But as soon as you open it up into multiple and have a larger team, then there's some paid models. And then Figma has been in the news lately because
Being
Adobe
acquired.
just dropped billions and billions of dollars on it, and so it's exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, some people may say no, but I
Yeah,
think it is exciting.
well,
However,
maybe not exciting that I bought it, but and I just got a little tiny co-host
little
join me.
co-host.
Hey, what you doing?
Awesome.
Why don't you go find mommy? Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay.
Nice little snip, snip. No,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
little
Okay,
post
so that's
production edit.
Figma. Um, any other free apps you want to call out?
So we both called out this together, DaVinci Resolve Studio. Now I picked this up back when it was 12. It's up to I think version what 17 now or
18.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. But it's great because you can do a lot of if you're a video editor of any kind, you're cutting together film or anything you've recorded. It's perfect for that. It does great compositing in a sense for color and color correction and some tools. It kind of substitutes in a way a good amount, even on the free, of a tool to really get the edit done, maybe even with some text and some things. I would say the other alternative is HitFilm, but I think DaVinci Resolve even surpasses that, in my opinion, just because it is a little better at those editing capabilities and compositing capabilities that I feel like I need and that are essential to me in my production flow. But
Yeah, totally agree. The free version has a couple of limitations, like
yeah,
3D. I don't think is part of that. But for a relatively small price, for another like $300, you can get the studio version and open all that up.
yeah,
Yeah. Apologies.
no problem.
Well, I should have
So
locked the door.
one thing I'll say for good creativity as well, that's free. Yeah, well, it depends. So they allow you, um, I'm gonna jump into AI now for a
All
second.
right, if you must.
A must. Yeah, no. Um, so in AI, there's Midjourney, which is on Discord, and I've gotten in there and I've played with it a little bit, and they allow you a trial of like 30 free images or something. And then from there, you could essentially kind of, I think, either do a subscription or pay as you go kind of thing. But it's phenomenal to just get in there and you could say, hey, put Elon Musk's face on a dungeon master,
Yeah.
or whatever, and have a table and have one guy be a robot. And like, as long as you're putting like these commas in and you're being very specific, and you could even say, I want this person to be like a marble sculpture.
Yeah.
It just creates like a good, quick, pretty well, they create three or four different kind of versions of it, and then you can
Yeah.
kind of start going down the rabbit hole of, okay, play with this one a little more, play with this one a little more, and
Mm.
let's refine it and let's refine it. But it's what's more amazing too is just to see what other people have made in the Discord, and the things that they're conceptualizing and asking it to do. And then from there you can kind of use it to manipulate and photo bash and bring in and create your project boards or stills or camera angles that you're looking for storyboarding. So I enjoy that because there's endless creativity there. It's so fun. You feel like you can actually sculpt and um, and dream of something and start to slowly bring it into actual reality. And like you start to feel like an art director in a way. Like you have
Yeah.
somebody a creative team that's instantly just putting something out, and then you're saying, okay, let's tweak it a little more, let's tweak it a little more, and then
And what's
other.
the turnaround time? Is it take 10 minutes to render something out, an hour?
No, it's under. I've never had mine take more than about 10-15 seconds on some of these complicated, but I don't know. I've never broken the machine to where it takes longer than that.
Yeah.
Usually it's pretty quick, less than a minute every time. And then there's another one called DAL-E,
Yeah.
kind of like Wally, but DAL as in DALL, and then E.
Or Dolly, the
Or Dolly, yeah, sorry.
famous surrealist. Yep.
That's it. Yep. I should have said it Dolly, but uh, but it same thing. And they've released it now so that I think they give you per month. They give you a few free per month, and then if you go beyond that, like they'll either say you've passed your free limit, and then consider subscribing or whatever, and then. But you can kind of go round robin with it and wait for a new month and then go for it. So
yeah, no, and I think this is definitely going to need to be its own episode all around AI stuff as well. But I appreciate you bringing it up because it is on the minds of lots of creatives right now. How do we navigate this new world of tools? Is it going to take my job away?
Hardly. I don't think so.
Yeah.
We'll save it for another episode.
Yeah.
But
And I think these are the same fears that, people went through when computers were first starting being used in the creative industry. It used to be, as a graphic designer, you were using an X-Acto knife and cutting out images and pieces of type and assembling it on a board and photographing it and using whiteout to hide the seams and now we do that all digitally, and there's just as much artistry in it, and the bar is set even higher because we're using these tools that make things easier. And I assume that that's the same thing with AI. And for some of you out there who may be like, oh, I'll never use AI, guaranteed you're probably already using AI and not realizing it, like tools that in Photoshop that hide it, the background replacement stuff that you may not realize is being powered by AI. So
It's been with us for so long, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just been hiding. So no.
No. So
Yeah,
we've
I'll turn
talked
it back.
about several free apps,
Mhm.
and we've got more. Maybe we do a part two on free apps, but I think that's enough for our listeners, our viewers to digest on that subject. Where should we go from here? Are there any non-free apps and paid apps that you want to call out, or do we just go into thoughts about?
I'll definitely pull out one or two paid apps that I have to pull out just to kind of get it out there. I'm a fan of being able to do, again, animation. So and especially kind of like traditional animation. If I were to do this on an iPad per se, because I like that, I like to be able to be portable, get up, walk around, go somewhere else, maybe go to a park, do something. The iPad's essential for that, and it's fun. But is there anything out there that can hold the mustard, cut the mustard on this? One that's a tool, that's more of a toy. This is a sub tool. It's called Loom. It has LOOO 3 O's. It has infinite canvas. It has a fluid time. It exports SVG. It's really fun, but it's more of a toy. It's about $10 if I recall, and it's made by musicians. It has only up to about 5 layers. It does new things now. They've updated it to where it has like masking tools and a few things, but nothing of brush stability or other things that I would consider essential. And so it's fun to play with. It's a great way to do ideas. It's kind of low on my list. It's there. I hardly ever open it, but I would say Rough Animator used to be essential, and I love it, and I still use it from time to time. Rough Animator was top for me.
And that's on the iPad as well.
It's on the iPad. It also has desktop versions, wonderful desktop versions. Sadly, you'd have to pay. You have to pay for. It's only $5.
Yeah.
So it's essentially $5 for the app on the iPad, and then again $5 or so for the desktop.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I've enjoyed it on the desktop. I've done great things with it. You can import video. You can import a lot and do some fun things. I've enjoyed the tools. And the brushes. Very intuitive, very fast. Very flexible, and so it is a quick way to just get some good animation done.
I'm sensing a butt in there. You have a favorite animation tool?
I have one that definitely gets the award.
Yeah,
and but I must have the caveat of saying I use about both 50-50.
Yeah.
However, I would definitely say that the one that takes the cake is CaliPeg, and created by some French developers. They're wonderful people. And this application, they have a subscription base. I don't know why you would do that. They have a one-time lifetime purchase. It's a little more pricey. I think if I recall, it's $50 if you're going to do the forever plus all the updates.
I wonder if they still offer that, because it seems like I'm part of the subscription, $30 a year or whatever, but
oh really,
they may have moved away from that, and those of you who chose that are
early on the granddaddies of it.
Grandfathered in. Yep.
I love it because it is phenomenal. They allow you to bring in audio. They have transform layers. So it's as close as you can get to a full animation pipeline on a portable device, not including like a laptop. Laptop isn't, because I'm going to consider that more of a desktop application. Yeah. But for a mobile portable device, you cannot get better, because it can do watercolor and blending and all these things. It has wonderful brushes. They're trying to update the brush engine. I'm on their Discord. We keep talking about a few things. I really wish they'd put basically like the timeline and where you're adding your sheets, allow you to change the position.
Location, put it at the top if you want.
And that's why I give Rough Animator awards, because I like it out of my way, because sometimes my hand
Yeah.
will add a sheet where I don't want
Right.
to on the timeline, or it will it causes some
Yeah.
issues. And I constantly am shrinking my layer stack so I'm not touching. And I know you can lock and all these things. I just don't like the extra
Yeah.
step of having to lock and unlock and do stuff. But the it's very robust, has a lot that it can do, and like I said, it's as close as it gets to never having to even, it's one of those basically award situations that I don't have to get out. I can stay in there, as import my stuff and stay in there and just animate till I'm done. It's amazing. So
Yeah. No, I love it. These are some great call outs, and we could go on for much longer, but the lunch hour break is only so long, and
I know.
get back to it. But to wrap things up, we both talked about all of these wonderful tools. But in the end, none of these tools promise to make you a better
Amazing.
artist, right?
Right. Yeah. Uh, it's always that funny thing where people say, "What brush did you use?" Or "Can I get that preset?" Or "Can I?"
Yeah.
And I find that people will use even the free software, that an obscure software,
Yeah.
and and you see it even in their, look at this, and the artist has made this amazing masterpiece that, clearly shows they've been skilled for decades and decades of practice, if not their whole life.
Yeah.
And it really kind of comes down to just the artist using a tool versus the tool itself, which would make you a master.
Yeah.
It's not the tool that makes you a master, it's the master behind the tool, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say this in some crazy, like, metaphorical way. It's just that I love these tools, but it doesn't take away the fact that it takes time and hard work in any tool to use it properly and get the benefits of it and
Yeah.
create good things. And it's mostly just, these tools are more, the point of it is to say what tool makes your life easier and makes you forget about the distractions, so you can focus. And some of the ones that I put a spotlight on or an award, or I definitely would say those are the ones that allow me to, despite the learning curve, allow me to be in the creative zone the longest.
Yeah. And in the end, to be an artist, to be a creator, it comes down to patience with yourself, patience with the process, realizing that, again, these are tools that, like, for example, a lot of the tools nowadays, they'll have a smoothing feature on your line or whatever, which is nice, because then, maybe that saves you a little bit of time of not having to learn how to, pull a perfect smooth line every time, and the software can assist you a little bit there. But in the end, it comes down to your eye. Are you able to compose this character or this scene or this graphic design layout in a way that is going to communicate effectively and be pleasing to others? Because we could get deep into scientific things of,
Yeah, the design principles.
yeah, that are objectively true in good design and art. But yeah, no, I appreciate that reminder that these tools are not meant to take the artist out of the equation in any way. And if there are tools that do, if you want to upload a photo to some of these other apps on the iPad or whatever and hit the watercolor button and it turns it into then great. But just don't call yourself a
Yeah,
watercolorist because you can do that.
you you have an app that lays out, text and images, and now you can do brochure 101,
Yeah. Yeah.
brochure design 101,
Yeah.
poster design. Yeah.
You got to give the credit where the credit is due, and that takes me back to the AI. I mean, I think it, depending on how one uses it, may have to credit the tool in especially if you're using it pretty close to what it generated. You have to say, this was a collaboration with me and Dolly or whatever.
Yeah. And I, to that credit too, I try to definitely manipulate it enough that it's like that's my base, and then I've gone 10 different versions and sketches over top of that. But no, I think you make a point that you can't, as we're going into the future, it might be required more that we say, this isn't just, I can't take the credit that this was all just out of my brain, because it wasn't. It required a whole lot of so much more to come up with it.
And we want to be careful to keep the AI happy, because there are some documentaries out there where they talk about future AIs,
Judgment Day.
That get fed up with what the humans do and claim to be their own, and just want to eradicate humans. So we don't want to be responsible for that. So we'll give Dolly and Journey, or whatever they're called,
the love and credit.
Well, awesome, Trevor. Again, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, there's so much I want to talk about. It's hard to do it all, and
let's
do some more.
Yeah, let's schedule
maybe on the design principles or something. I don't know.
So next week here in the States, or this week, it's this week because Thanksgiving, and so maybe a week or two from now we'll get together again for another episode, building on top of what we talked about here, or taking a different subject. So
totally, it'd be a pleasure.
All right, there it is. Let me know if you like this episode. Do you want more of these kind of list type episodes? It's hard to leave comments on a lot of podcast platforms, I know. So, head on over to the YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel, CRE8 with an 8 or die. Search that in YouTube. If you have to throw an Ike Allred in there as well, that may help you find it. But go ahead and troll us over there. We'll love it. Or leave legitimate comments are certainly appreciated. So thanks again for joining us, and until next time, CRE8 or die.